Lexus promises that this all-new RX 350h has luxury and performance, but does it deliver? Well, let's find out. Buckle up and let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max, racer and lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, the Lexus RX has been a massive hit, but anytime there's an all-new model, we have to have a look. And before we get into what it's like to drive, let's have a look at this all-new RX 350h in a little more depth. The 350h means a couple of things. It is a hybrid, of course, and the 350 means that it is based around a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine with an electric motor. That is the hybrid system. And then, of course, the transmission is the CVT. The power unit makes 246 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 233 pounds of torque from 4,300 to 4,500 RPM. It is all-wheel drive, of course. Suspension's based around McPherson struts at the front, multi-link at the rear. Four-wheel disc brakes, of course, and it's worth noting that the front calipers are the two-piston kind. The brakes are smaller than the RX 500h we drove a little while ago. Steering's electrically assisted, of course. Wheels and tires on this trim level are 21s, as you can see, very elegant. Curb weight of this RX 350h is about 4,400 pounds, and max towing capacity is 3,500 pounds. Did you know that about 80% of you are not subscribed to this channel? Well, it was news to me. I had a look at the stats, and yeah, about 20% of you are, but 80% of you are not. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and as always, like this video, share it with your friends, and hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us. We are coming off a recent RX 500 drive, and this interior is not much different. There are some trim differences, of course, but what I do find is we've got that same easy living, approachable seating position with great visibility, great interface to the pedals, to the steering wheel. Ergonomics are fundamentally identical. There's not much else that's really fundamentally different in here compared to that 500h that we drove a little while ago. I really can't complain about the seating position. Yes, the seat's a little on the flat side, but it is exceptionally comfortable, and on top of that, it's heated and cooled. And in this midsummer heat, I'm very, very grateful that we do have ventilated seats in this RX 350h. The infotainment system is still very much the same. Really enjoying the Apple CarPlay integration. I'm sure it has Android Auto, but I don't know, and I don't care. Works very well that way. As a standalone system, it's not that exciting. Nothing worth writing home about. Although Lexus has done a lot of work with this system, it's just so much easier to use on Apple CarPlay. Now, in terms of spaciousness, this thing for a mid-size luxury crossover has an incredible amount of space. First row, second row, and even under the hatch, lots of room for cargo. This is one easy living luxury crossover. It's just very easy to live with this. Throw your things in it, carry lots of people in it, and throw lots of stuff under the hatch. It just works so easy on a day-to-day basis. A rocket ship, this is not. 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds, maybe. It's definitely not quick. Once you're on the move, though, it seems to be a little bit quicker than that. It doesn't necessarily imbue this with lesser acceleration all throughout its operating range. No, just when you're on the move, it seems to be a little bit quicker. From a dead stop, it does take a little bit to get going. Certainly markedly less quick than the RX 500 that we drove a little while ago. With less than 250 horsepower, there's no trouble putting all of that power and all of the torque to the ground through this all-wheel drive system. Yes, this one does have a CVT, and it is a typical CVT. It's very well resolved here. It's just not my favorite and not our favorite. Those who have purchased CVTs seem to justify them for whatever reason, but I much prefer a gear transmission, and of course this does have shift paddles on it, and yes, you can use them, and it does kind of mimic gears, but it's kind of like thinking your supermarket bought sushi is the real deal. With the way that the CVT operates, you end up with this disconnected way the engine speed operates in relation to the road speed. Yes, we know that it is not the most natural kind of motoring experience, and from time to time you do hear some of that large 4-cylinder engine noise. The engine does operate smoothly. There's no roughness to it. You just hear it from time to time, but Lexus has done a fine job in terms of minimizing NVH in this new RX. Since this is a 2023 model year Lexus, it is filled with tech, including advanced driver assist and a bunch of other features. So this does have cameras on board, and what I do find, I haven't switched it off, but when we slow to a stop, the screen pops up with the camera view, and yeah, that might be helpful some of the time, but it's not helpful all of the time, especially if you're driving in familiar areas. The basic philosophy seems to be safety first more than anything else, and that is demonstrated with systems like that. This does have the rear view camera monitor, which is very, very helpful in a lot of instances. I really like this technology. It's very, very smart, especially when you can switch to conventional view and then back to the camera view. It's very, very clever that way. It does leave a lot of following distance to the vehicle you're following, and in a busy city like where I live, what that means is people cut you off all of the time. The system doesn't really work at city speeds very well. It tends to follow vehicles that are making turns or changing lanes rather than looking ahead. It's a very unusual thing. It does err on the side of safety, on the side of caution, which I suppose is the right thing to do, and it's perfectly on brand for Lexus. The driving experience here is not going to satisfy any driving enthusiast. It's very much sanitized and you're somewhat disconnected from the road. That doesn't mean the dynamics are bad, but it doesn't mean that you're a little isolated from the road, which I suppose is what a lot of Lexus buyers want. While you do sacrifice some road feel, what you do gain is a very quiet driving experience at any speed. And we're doing, 45 miles an hour right here, and it is very, very quiet, and I'm impressed with that. And on top of that, you're very well isolated from road imperfections. We're going to hit some railroad tracks here and no trouble at all. There's very limited crash through. There's very limited noise from the suspension or the tires hitting road impacts. They have done a great job in limiting NVH here, and that is right on brand for Lexus because it's a very quiet and luxurious driving experience by rights of it being very quiet in here. Steering is well assisted. That's going to make the Lexus customer happy. Driving enthusiasts like us, well, we'd like a little less assist. Braking is definitely a highlight. Brakes are powerful. Field control and modulation are excellent. I'm very impressed with the brakes in this RX 350h. That is a good thing because that is your first line of defense when it comes to avoiding a crash. So well done, Lexus. In terms of the overall handling package, we don't have adaptive dampers in the 350h, and even so, these conventional dampers do a fantastic job of managing body and wheel control. The body and wheel motion is at an absolute minimum. There is very little secondary motion, if at all. Definitely that is filtered out, and they've done a fantastic job resolving this suspension. It's very difficult to do with a straightforward suspension like this. Adaptive dampers do filter out a lot of that, and you can lean on those in terms of filtering out those sorts of things and sorting body and wheel motion. But in this case, they've done a fantastic job with a typical system. Very, very impressed with that. In terms of handling, no, the handling limits are not high. There's a fair bit of body roll when you do push this thing, and the RX 350h is not meant to be attacking corners, so we're really not doing much of that today in this test. Overall, it's exactly what Lexus RX customers, I think, are going to expect from a new RX 350h. It's very easy living. It happens to be efficient, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it is extremely quiet in here, and by rights, that's also a very luxurious driving experience with all the features and all the functions and creature comforts. This is an incredibly luxurious driving experience. How do you spec yours? Well, this is a fairly easy question to answer. What you are looking at is a fully equipped 350h in nori green paint and peppercorn interior, and I do have to say, this is a very elegant color combination. Both of them on their own, excellent colors, excellent finishes. Really can't complain about that. Base price in the US is about $50,000. As tested, it's $65,000 before freight and local taxes, with every possible option, which means you get the luxury trim and then select every individual option. Here in Canada, base price is about $60,000. Add the executive package, which is every possible option, gives you an as-tested price of $75,650 before freight and local taxes. In terms of speccing yours, you really can't go wrong with fully equipping your 350h. I really appreciate every single function, feature, and luxury touch in this 350h. So in terms of speccing yours, pick your colors, be happy, but I would highly recommend this nori green paint and the peppercorn interior. It's absolutely fantastic. My verdict, well, here's the thing. We often start this segment with fuel consumption because this is a hybrid. We do have to talk about it. The funny thing is, I can do no better or no worse than 31 miles per gallon. It seems locked on 31 miles per gallon. No matter where I'm driving, how I'm driving, and regular viewers of the show know I do enjoy using the throttle, so it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Getting 31 miles per gallon, and in something that's this big and this heavy, that is extremely impressive. For my Canadian viewers, that's about 7.6 liters per 100 kilometers. For most people, and especially Lexus buyers, RX buyers in particular, they know exactly what they're going to get. They're going to get an easy living, very luxurious, very competent, and very well sorted luxury crossover. For driving enthusiasts like us, we may want to look elsewhere, but for RX buyers, especially if they're coming from the previous generation into this new generation, are going to be very, very impressed with this all-new RX 350h. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2023 Lexus RX 350h. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, well, you're not new to YouTube, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this video, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Lexus RXs.